Splash Brothers bringing their own pool to the playoff party. Ice tray may be a little too cold. No LeBron, no problem. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. I'm CheRanda Hammond alongside Carlos Garcia and Juan Mendez. The NBA playoffs have officially started, and there is no shortage of excitement in the East or the West. Carlos, I'll start with you. What stood out to you in the Eastern playoffs this weekend?
Well, the Chicago Bulls are a team that in the last month or so, they've been a disappointing team, right? But the Milwaukee Bucks in Game 1 weren't too hot either. I mean, the Bucks were the only team in the East that won their game, and they didn't score at least 115 points. The Heat, the Sixers, all the other teams, even the Celtics, they scored 115. And it was definitely disappointing. You know, Milwaukee, they won 93-86, but definitely had a bad shooting night. 40% from the field and 26% from three-point range. Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton, they're supposed to be the duo that helps Giannis elevate and potentially win back-to-back championships. Didn't have too hot of a game, especially Chris Middleton. He struggled from the field. And if the Bucks want to have a legit chance of, I think they'll make it out this round, but if they want to have a legit chance of advancing into a deep postseason run, they're going to need more from just Giannis' 27 points and 16 rebounds. Because we know Giannis can carry the load, but the Bucks really don't have a legit person who can go out and get buckets for you. Chris Middleton, yeah, sure, maybe, but he does have those streaky games. He has those off nights, more off nights than on nights. So I don't think Giannis can get it done if this tempo is going to keep up with the Bucks.
That is a really good take because a lot of people have high expectations for the Bucks. Now, the game that I'm going to pick, it is the Celtics and Nets, a matchup that we all really look forward to, and it delivered for sure. And the one thing we could say is that Jason Tatum did close that game out extremely well. We all know what happened there. But let's talk about what led to this position, what led to this final move that he did. So the Celtics, what they did and what they do so efficiently is they actually only had 8 active players in this game. What that means, and actually 7 of them had 20 minutes at least. So what that means is that the chemistry rotationally is really good, and what that has done for them throughout the season is that they actually allowed the least amount of points, the least amount of field goal percentage, and the least amount of assists. For example, Marcus Smart could be in the top of the key pushing forward. He knows who's behind him, who's to his left, who's rotating. That chemistry allowed him to hold on what they could, Kyrie Irving, because he also shot 60% field goals and 60 from 3. How often do we see that? So he had an outstanding performance, 39 points, but the Celtics defense held them just enough for Tatum to do a final spin move, get the lay in, and a great start to the series.
Yeah, I will say that the Celtics game was definitely fun to watch. I was expecting a little bit more from the Bucks Bulls, but heck, we can't all get what we wish for. Juan, what about in the Western Conference teams? What stood out to you?
Great question. A lot of great matchups as well, but I'll have to go with the Warriors and the Nuggets for a few reasons as well. I've been waiting so long to watch Jamal Murray play, and I still haven't gotten that. I haven't gotten that pleasure. But Jokic is again in the MVP race, but he can't keep up with what the Warriors are doing, and let me tell you why. You would expect Curry, who played 22 minutes. He's slowly going to bring that up, but does he need to when Jordan Poole is playing this well, when Klay Thompson is right there available in this rotation too? This Warriors team has a lot of depth, and they even have a few stars injured at the same time. So they've been very impressive, but the biggest thing is Jokic and Denver. Who can really score apart from Jokic? If they shut him down, who's next? Will Barton? We don't really know him as a great scorer. Before we used to know him as a slasher or a defender. Now he's going to have to step up at 31 years old and bring some fire to this team that is really lacking it. So I'm waiting for Jamal Murray. When is he going to come back?
Yeah, I have to agree with you. If Jokic just stopped, he's definitely going to win back-to-back MVPs, but there's not really much offense besides him. I mean, he's the one facilitating and scoring. But, in the West, a couple of weeks ago, I sat in this very same seat, and I told Matt McLaughlin, who was right next to me, that the Memphis Grizzlies, who were the 3 seed at the time, would not have a deep postseason run. Matt, you laughed at me then. Who's laughing now? I mean, we see that in the first game, Grizzlies versus Timberwolves, Karl-Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards had a combined 65 points between them. Completely shut down the Grizzlies. That was a high-scoring game between 2 of the top 3 scoring offensive teams in the league, but Minnesota was able to pull it out. And, John Morant, he had 32 points in the game, but 16 came from free throws. So technicality, he had 16 points on the court. So if you want to look at it that way, he's going to need more. It's crazy to say that even scoring 32 points, John needs to do more and step it up. But, Patrick Beverley was looking like an all-first-team NBA defense, right? That's really what the Timberwolves bring. They bring that grit and grind, and they're a legit – I see them as a low seed who can definitely advance into the next round of the playoffs, being that 7 seed.
Yeah, I said the Warriors, I love watching the Splash Brothers, and now Jordan Poole's making it even more exciting and definitely fun to watch the Timberwolves. What player from either conference, or maybe even both, do you have making it hard for a postseason run for any team?
Well, if America runs on Dunkin' Donuts, then Miami runs on Duncan Robinson. I mean, what he was able to do in Game 1, and before I even talk about him, there's a lot of professionals who go on air and say that the Hawks could win in 6 or maybe 5 games. That's outrageous. That's blasphemous. And honestly, what Duncan Robinson did in Game 1, 27 points, 9 of 10 from the field, 8 of 9 from three-pointers. The Human Torch, he couldn't miss. He really couldn't miss. I mean, Atlanta had no offense. On the defensive side, Miami completely shut down Trae Young, had him shooting just 8% from the field, and they were really able to contain him and the rest of that offense the whole game. But it all comes down to Duncan Robinson and the shooting ability. If he can provide that scoring spark off the bench, especially with what the elevation of Tyler Hero and Max Strus this season, there's definitely been trade rumors that Duncan should be out of there because he can't play defense and his numbers have been declining in the last couple years. But in the playoffs, that's where it all counts. And Duncan Robinson showed it in Game 1. I hope he can keep it up because if he does, Miami will be a legit threat in the East.
Definitely. I think the Hawks did good last year, but they don't have the fire to beat the Heat at this time. And Duncan Robinson is performing amazing. I didn't know he shot that well, actually. Well, I'm going to pick somebody from the same conference, but it is going to be Tyrese Maxey, who was the second highest scorer in the set of games, 38, just one short of Kyrie. But it doesn't matter because Tyrese Maxey did a lot for the Sixers in this game. The main thing being not only relieving some pressure off Harden and Embiid, who we know can score, but just being everywhere, off the ball, on the defense. His high motor offensively and defensively is something we rarely see in a point guard. And his ability to also finish around the rim. There's very little I could say against his performance in this game. And I'm also wondering if he can keep it up. That's always the worry. Can he keep this energy up? Because if he does keep it up, if he at least scores 25 a game, I say at least, but he is capable of it. If he at least scores this amount, there's no way the Sixers can, with the way they're set up with Embiid, Tobias Harris playing as well as he did as well in the first game, there's no way they could lose. And that momentum that Maxey can carry as such a young player is very valuable for a team like the Sixers. So I'm hoping to see him perform just as I hope that Duncan Robinson also keeps performing.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to, like I said, there's no shortage of excitement in this playoffs, and I can't wait to see where this goes. I'm expecting much more excitement and buzzer beaters. That will do it here for us at Penn State Sports Night. For Juan Mendez and Carlos Garcia, I'm CheRanda Hammond, and we'll see you next time.
Hey everybody, thank you for tuning into this edition of Penn State Sports Night. We hope you liked that segment.
And we're sure there's other Penn State Sports Night segments that you are going to love as well. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content.
And check us out on social media for updates and behind the scenes clips and pics. Follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with all the action.
For all of us here at the Belisari Media Center, we are
Penn State Sports Night.